Hello, hello. Hopefully we are popping up here in any minute. Let me know if you can see me. I am just refreshing over on my computer. Let me know if you're here. Let me know how your week has been, what's going on for you. Yep, it looks like we're live right here in the group. So welcome. Happy Friday. Happy nearly new moon tomorrow. So yeah, drop me a line in the comments. Let me know what you're here for. We are doing how to fail today. A little bit of mindset, but then actually super practical on all of the different situations when things might not go to plan and what you could do instead to make the most of it. Carly, good morning. Welcome. I'm really sorry if you can hear a whirring away in the background. I sent something to the printer like 15 minutes ago thinking it'd be done, but it is not. So we are going to dive right on in. Let me just press the record button before I forget. Hey, welcome. Welcome to today's weekly live show. If you are new here, I'm really delighted you are here. My name is Laura Green. I am a yoga teacher, a teacher trainer, published author of Teaching Chair Yoga, and a business mentor. Welcome, Sarah. Groni, welcome to you from Australia. Jatinda, welcome. Alex, welcome. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about how to fail. Not the most chirpy topic, but really, really important. And it can make a huge difference to you, your evolution as a human being, your journey as a yoga teacher. Because as you know, nothing really is sacred. When you start your yoga practice, you are looking to connect with yourself. You're working towards that liberation, that freedom, that enlightenment, that contentment within ourselves. It's very much a journey of personal growth. Then when you come to teach yoga, that is a huge journey in personal growth. You are taking the thing that you are so passionate about and suddenly you're sharing it with other people. And this can bring up all sorts of vulnerabilities, woundings, and worries. And then when we're running our own business, that does just the same as well. But what the great news is this can really speed up our growth, our evolution as we look at, okay, what's coming up for me and how do I work with this? So today, as we explore how to fail, and coming at it from two angles. First and foremost, just a little bit of mindset, and then actually practicalities of the varieties of different situations, how you might troubleshoot them. So what to do if only a couple of people are at class, what to do if you put on a workshop or event and not enough people book it, what to do if you create some marketing and it's not getting any results. So we're going to actually troubleshoot. I do have some notes. If you see me looking down, I am just looking at my notes. And first of all, on this mindset side, and if you could journal away with this, that would be great. It is a new moon tomorrow. It's a great journaling and reflective time. What is your relationship with failing? What is your relationship with failing? And a nice way to start that is to think of the different words. What do you think of when you think of the word fail? When I hear the word fail, it takes me all the way back to childhood and seeing an F or a fail put on a piece of homework. I remember doing chemistry GCSE and getting the wonderful grade of U, U meaning unmarkable. So it takes me all the way back to that idea of failing a test, a fail at school. What does failure mean for you? What does that word mean? To me, that hits a little bit more personally. When I hear the word fail, I feel like I failed the test. When I hear the word failure, that hits me really deep. It makes me feel like I am a failure. It feels really personal. That's quite an icky one for me. And what about failing? How does that word sound to you? Failing to me makes me feel like it's not over yet. There's still something I can do about it. So thinking, how do you resonate with those words? And where has that story come from? Where has your story around failure, failing come from? And a lot of it is, of course, from childhood. So much of this is from childhood because it's when we first hear or experience this terminology. So when we're thinking about failure, failing, it is this vulnerable inner child wounding. So we need to be calm with ourselves, kind with ourselves, nurturing with ourselves, and talk to that inner child within. When we think we have failed at something, talk to that inner child, talk to that vulnerability, care for yourself so that you can create a separation with the emotional reaction and then come onto the productive side of failing. I think a lot of it with the school and the inner child for me taps into some people pleasing stuff, but it also taps into, there's like an urgency, a now or a never. I really kind of felt at school that if it was a fail or a failure, it felt very urgent that you have failed. It is now, it is done, it is too late to change it. Whereas actually, as adults evolving in our own life, failure isn't the end of something. It's not done, you failed. Failure is just a pause in something from which we can grow, evolve, course correct, and make changes. So it's shifting that belief that failed is the end of something. It's done, it's too late. Going, that didn't go to plan. What can I learn and do differently next time? And this is the truth of our yoga practice, our business, our teaching, that actually we're never finished. We're never done. We are never the end product. Human beings are always evolving. That is the truth of the whole world we live in. We live in a world of evolution. And when we embrace change and evolution, we continue to thrive as a species. So it's releasing that idea that something is done, dusted, and finished. So not the finished product, always evolving. So what then is the use of failing, failure? It is helping us pinpoint where we can evolve, change, and grow. So I prefer to see failure as problem solving. And problem solving doesn't sound that exciting, a sexier word to me. So I then have to change problem solving as well to an opportunity for creativity. Now, I can't paint you a picture. I can't write you a poem. In that sense, have never felt very creative. But actually, when it comes to problem solving, I'm a deeply creative soul. We can always think of new ways, new ideas, new approaches. So I want you to equate failure to an opportunity for creativity. And that gets me excited. Failure, problem solving, opportunity for creativity. So what does that look like? There's a little bit of mindset I want to finish with, but actually let's go into the problem solving, into creativity. So let's think of a few examples where you might feel like you're failing, failed, or a failure in setting up a yoga business. So the first example is something that we'll all experience when we set up a yoga class, we go to teach a class, and there's either 0 students, 1 student, or just, a couple of students, and we haven't paid our full hire. Okay? So that happens to all of us. So what do we do in that situation? We think, fail. Not enough students. I feel really bad about this. I'm not covering my whole hire. I'm such a failure. Maybe I'm a crap yoga teacher. I'm going to throw my toys out and not do this anymore. Okay? That's that finite end. And that's what we want to release. Instead, think, okay, so here's a problem. There's not as many people coming to class as I hoped. I'm not covering my whole hire. How can I see this as an opportunity for creativity? First of all, it's changing the idea that we must make money in that class, being super focused on income, and instead shift your focus to impact in that moment. There's many classes that have taken me 6 months more to get to coloring my full hire. So we shift to impact, and we immediately shift in that class to amazing. There is only 1 or 2 students today, so I can really use this as an opportunity to practice my one-to-one teaching skills. I can really use this as an opportunity to practice my hands-on assists and nourish the student. I can really practice creating a deep relationship and tailoring my meditation to what the student needs today. I can use this to practice. Now, what can make us feel bad in that situation is, again, this inner child and this people pleasing. When there's only 1 or 2 students at something, I know my brain used to, and a lot of other people's, goes to, oh my God, that student's going to think I'm useless because nobody else has turned up. And we worry about that student's judgment of us. Whereas actually, most of the time that student goes, amazing, really tiny class today. I'm going to get some really individualized attention. And yes, they might think, oh, such a shame there's not enough students here for this teacher because she's amazing. Maybe next week I'll bring a friend, or I'm going to tell someone about it because this yoga teacher is amazing. She really nourished me today and I want to support her. There's no moment where that student or students negatively judge you for how many people there are in class. So I always say the same thing when it happens. Oh my God, how exciting. It's just you and me today. Oh my God, how exciting. There's just 3 of us today. So of course, I've got a lesson plan, but let's throw that lesson plan out. Tell me about you. What is going on for you at the moment? What are you feeling in your body? What are you craving? Let me craft something specially for you. So then what do we do if there's 0 people at class? This hasn't happened to me. I've had 1 a few times, 0 hasn't, but I really recommend that you keep in your teaching bag a handful of yoga flyers, double-sided flyers, so that if nobody turns up, you can go, right, I'm already meant to be here for an hour, so I'm going to take these flyers and I'm going to drop some flyers through the nearest housing estate, or I'm going to go to some of the local shops on the high street and ask them if they'll take my flyer. Okay? So use that time productively, get creative. Or you're already in the hall, you've already hired the space, you've probably got your phone with you, put your phone on a little windowsill, on a stack of books, rest it up and film the yoga class. So teach the yoga class as you would, but film it. Then upload it to YouTube, put it on your website. You've got a free online class that you can send to people to get a feel of what your practice is like. So get creative and problem solve. So what then if it's not a class, but you've put on an event? Maybe that could be a restorative workshop, a day retreat, a course, and not enough people have booked it. So first off, you got to think, is it something in my marketing? And 90% of the time, I would say when something doesn't book, like an event, a workshop, a course, there's often nothing wrong with the event, workshop, and course itself, but something isn't hitting right in how you have marketed it. So start with the title. Get creative. Look at the title of your event and see, is it obvious what it is? Does it sound good? Does it sound like something someone would like to do? And oftentimes as yoga teachers, we name things with titles that other people don't understand, like Yoga Journey Through the Bandhas, okay, for instance. Does anybody know what that is outside of your yoga teacher friends? Do they know why they'd want to book that? So a few examples of this. Back in 2021, I had my return of my in-person CPD, and I was running my Yin Yoga CPD training. Now, every year that sells out really, really well. But in 2021, it just didn't. People didn't seem to be ready to travel for in-person CPD, and it wasn't booking. I know there's nothing wrong with the course. I know there's nothing wrong with the offering. It must have just been time to change the title. So I changed the title from Yin Yoga CPD training to Yoga Teacher Rest Day. Brackets, includes 7 hours CPD on Yin. Okay? And then just by changing the name to Yoga Teacher Rest Day, it sold out. Because it must have been something in the energy of the time that my teacher community weren't feeling the need to train. Maybe they're feeling tired, but we're feeling the need for deep rest. And if you think as yoga teachers, we carried a lot of people in 2020 and 2021 through COVID. So it got to that time in November and teachers just wanted rest. So it was the same thing. I just changed the name. Another example, a day retreat I was running. It was called the Lunar Day Retreat, learning to use your yoga practice through the moon's phases. That wasn't selling a few years ago. And all I did was change the name from Lunar Day Retreat to Yoga and the Moon. Just that, and suddenly it's sold. So get creative and go back to the name of the event. Then, of course, look at the description of the event. Is it obvious what it is? Does it speak to somebody's needs and concerns? Do they need it? Or have you just gone into great detail about what it is without telling someone why they might need it? So look at the title, look at the text, and then of course, look at the images you have been marketing with. Does that flyer, poster, graphic have an engaging picture of your face? Is it drawing someone's interest in? Is the graphic too messy? When graphics on social media have a lot of information on them, people just scroll past them. So when an event, course, workshop isn't selling, this isn't failure. It is problem solving and an option for creativity. Look at the name, the description, the photos, and rework them. It could also be because the event, the course, the retreat you're running is good, but it's just not the right time in your business. So this definitely applies to more expensive things like weekend retreats, retreats abroad, long trainings. Have you developed enough of a client base that got to know you enough that they're prepared to do that higher priced offering with you? You have to think of the evolution of a yoga student. Often they'll come to you for free first class. Then they'll maybe pay you £10 for drop-in. Then maybe they'll come to a £20 workshop. Then maybe they'll come to a £50 course. You know, they slowly start to invest with you more. It's highly unlikely that someone's going to go from a brand new student paying £800 to come to your retreat in Crete. You have to take people through the journey. And even if there are enough people ready to take that journey, is it a big enough group? So say, for instance, you've got 20 students that have been going through this journey. They know you well. You teach 1 or 2 good classes a week, and then you decide to offer a weekend retreat. Maybe all of those 20 students want to do it, but some of them won't be able to do that date. Some of them won't have the finances right now. Some of them might not be able to get childcare. So you just have to have a large enough pool of students before you put on these more higher priced events. So it might be you try something now and then you go, oh, do you know what? My audience isn't big enough yet. It's still a good idea, but just not yet. Let me come back to it in a year. And I do this all the time. March 2020, I was meant to be taking a yoga teachers retreat to Thailand. And I called it the Yoga Teachers Retreat, Striving to Thriving in Thailand. And a few yoga teachers booked it, but just not enough, because at that stage, I was marketing in 2019, my teacher community just wasn't big enough. So if I launched it now, it'd be very different. So it's just not the right time in my business. I needed to push it back and focus on growing my community more. So don't throw a good idea out because someone didn't book it. Just go, okay, maybe my community is not big enough now. I will continue to grow my classes, grow my audience, and come back to launching this in a year, 2 years' time. So then how did I troubleshoot that issue in particular? You think, can I still run the event? Can I run it and cover costs? If you can still run the workshop, course, retreat, and cover costs, personally, I would urge you to still run it and get remuneration a different way for it. So it's not just money that is an asset in your business. So say it's the first time you've run a day retreat, it's not sold out, but you've sold enough spaces to cover your costs, but you're not going to be making any money from it. I would still sell it, run it, but then I would be asking my students to leave a review. Better yet, I'd ask them for a really short video review, maybe even film it while they were still there. So yes, I haven't made money from this, but I've got video reviews or written reviews and photographs to help me market it in future. You could use the event to take photographs, but make sure you do this with your students' consent. So I was at a course a little while ago, and an hour into the course, someone walked in and the teacher went, oh, this is the photographer, she's going to be photographing the day. We weren't asked, we weren't consented. It made me feel distracted, knowing this flashing light was going off all day. So, you know, maybe only a few people have booked something. You could, I haven't done this, but you could email them and say, you know, there's only 4 of us booked onto this retreat. I'm really excited to still be running it. I can't wait to spoil you. But if it's okay with you, I'd love to invite a photographer along so that I can get some photographs of the day to help me market this in future. Please let me know if this is okay for you. If it's not, I will make sure you're not in any of the photographs. So that is an option. Take videos of the space as well. Molly's put, it's a really good call. So do that. If you're going to make a significant loss on something, a significant loss, something you can't financially deal with, that's okay. Message your students and say, I'm really sorry, it hasn't worked out this time. Thank you so much for believing in me. You know, let me give you a full refund, or I could give you a credit for something else that I'm running. Just pull the plug, apologize, and then troubleshoot. Was it because your audience wasn't big enough yet? Was it because it's too expensive? You included too many more things. Dust yourself off and move on. It was just a learning process. Think creatively. And then when we look at your marketing and your flyers, so say you've done a flyer drop and it hasn't worked. So I see this all the time because, you know, I'm always telling people to flyer drop. Let me see your flyers, make sure it has a picture of your face on it, and make sure it has the key information, make sure it looks professional, and only flyer drop on a Sunday. Okay? If you break those rules, it's highly likely the flyer drop won't work. It wasn't the marketing approach itself that failed, but the execution of it. So for instance, if you put flyers inside a local magazine, you pay for that, and then the local magazine gets dropped through the door, they're not going to be successful. Everyone's going to put them up and put them in the bin. That doesn't mean flyers don't work. So if your marketing didn't work, flyers, posting in Facebook groups, Facebook ads, newsletters, whatever, being a community fair, whatever marketing approach you took, if it didn't work, it's probably not the approach that was wrong, because it's working for other people. So look at it and think, did I need to change my images? Did I need to change my words? Did I write too much? Did I write not enough? Did I flyer drop on a wrong day? Did I put the wrong time on it? Did I forget to put the price on it? So really look at it and see why it didn't work. And I often say, test, 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 test. So you'll hear a lot of things in marketing about A/B testing. So say, for instance, create 2 flyers, get them both printed, drop both flyers, and see in different housing states. So do drop 100 of one, 100 of the other, and see which gets the better result. Then get more of the flyer printed that did well and drop that. Same on social media, same on groups. Create 2 sets of images, create 2 posts, one long, one really short, see which approach gets the more engagement, then rinse and repeat that. Same with your newsletters. Split your audience in your email newsletter into half. Send one mailer to one mailer to the other, advertising the same event, but vary the form. Maybe one's a video of you introducing your retreat. Maybe one's an image. Maybe one's a long piece of writing about it. Maybe the other's really short and a link to book it. And see which newsletter performs the best, and then repeat that. Test, test, test. My husband's an engineer, so I'm really used to this. Engineers, he does a lot of computer programming. It fails, 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 fails. He tests, 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 fixes what's broken, does what works, and then you get the end result. An engineer, a scientist, they never expect gold on their first attempt at things. So actively test. Often it is not the marketing approach that was the problem, it was how you executed it. So if you see in this group flyers are working and your flyer drop isn't, it's not flyer dropping that doesn't work. It's when, how, or your flyer. So test, get creative. Lastly, coming back to mindset, just a couple of things. I always come back to the Bhagavad Gita. You have the right to do the work, but not the right to the fruits of your labor. And this is how I move on quickly when something fails. For instance, last year, we tried to launch a 300-hour advanced yoga teacher training. I wanted to run it in person. There's a lot of requests for online. I didn't want to run it online. I wanted to run it in person. Not enough people were able to do it in person. And yet we've put a lot of work into creating it. It didn't matter. I had the right to do the work. I don't have an entitled right to the result. So go, tried it, didn't work, move on. Okay? So really remember that. You have the right to do the work, but not feeling entitled to the result. Do the work and do the work. And be prepared to risk failing. We're not prepared to risk failing. Are we really learning, evolving, growing? Are our dreams big enough? Many of you know I am in a long process of trying to build a house in the rural countryside in Hampshire. My husband and I have been doing this project for 5 years. It took us a year to find the land, a year to buy the land, and we are 3 years into getting planning permission. We are fully aware there is a 70-30% odds against us. There is 70% chance that we will fail. I have taken that 30% odds. We are 5 years in and a huge amount of money in, but I'm prepared to take those odds. Why? Because I am okay to fail. But I'm not okay to go, I didn't try. I didn't try. I couldn't keep driving past this field and wondering what if. But I can drive past that field and go, I tried my hardest and I failed. And I'm okay with that. But I can't keep driving past it and going, what if? We have another really big meeting for the field on the 7th of February. Maybe we might know this year, year 6, whether it is a failure or a win. I'll keep you posted. It's okay to fail. So thank you for joining me today. It has been lovely to spend this time with you. Questions, comments, reflections, takeaways, put them in the chat. Really helps me feel like this was worthwhile. And I will see you next week. Bye for now.